And after speaking about China and their 30-day or so window that they may have to act fast and do a large, significant devaluation in their currency, which, as I said, is going to be driving people into gold and silver over there, as well as Bitcoin. Fiatleak.com shows you the flowing of where Bitcoin's going. In China is in an epic demand for it. It's out of control. Having said that, time to focus on India, because India banned its two largest banknotes recently, causing utter destruction in their economy and on their poor. And I believe this particular guy is from India. Mishtalk.com. I believe well, maybe he's not. But I've followed more than a couple of his articles about India. It seems like he's almost like he's there, but wherever he's getting his information, it's good. It's not nonsense. India fears run on banks, capital controls, and withdrawal limits to continue. Indian banks are fearful of running out of cash as lines queue up to withdraw money. Bankers say they cannot cope with any sudden increase in demand and warn against lifting cash withdrawal limits. So don't do it, because so many people are coming to get money out. We can't deal with this. That's what they're saying. If the increase in demand, which there's going to be because you're limiting people's money, it's my money and I need it now. I don't know how you say that in India, but if there's any Indian JSNIP4 subscribers, I would appreciate in the comment section if you could write in your Indian language, "It's my money and I need it now." That would be kind of neat. A little bonus for my people. Thanks. A decision by New Delhi on November 8th to scrap all large denomination banknotes overnight removed 86% of China's currency from circulation. In an effort to prevent banks from running out of cash, the finance ministry then imposed strict limits on the amount of new notes that could be withdrawn. Customers can currently withdraw just 2,500 rubles from an ATM per day, which is equivalent to, by the way, you ready for this? $37. Or 24,000 rupees. Did I say rubles? Rupees. Over the counter per week. So you can go up there, not an ATM, go to the bank. I need 2,400, 1,000. Did I say 40? I can't count tonight. First number, 2,500, which is 37 US dollars. Or 24,000 rupees over the counter at a bank. In other words, you can walk in the bank, not an ATM, but that's also per week. So 7 days in the week, 7 times, gotta pull out the calculator in this one. I don't want to screw this one up. 7 times 2,500 is 17,500. So you can go to an ATM, and if you did it every single day and took out your maximum limit per day, you would be able to get 17,500 for the total week. Or if you went inside the bank, 24,000. Except you're talking a couple. What is it? What does it equate to? A couple $100? 7 times, yeah, a couple $100 per week. Per week? Could you imagine living with that in America? Because again, their 2,500 rupees is equal to $37. So 7 times 2,500, 7 days a week, was that number I gave you, 17,500, which would also mean 7 times 37, or 7 times 3, 21, but it's almost 40, so something. We'll call it about $250, roughly, per week. Unless you go inside, then you can get about 300. Oh, fantastic. If the government lifts the limits on Friday, and there's a sudden rush, banks will be totally dependent on the central bank to give them enough liquidity. The Reserve Bank of India has been giving assurances that it has enough cash, but reports of how much currency there currently is in the system suggest this might not be the case. You mean kind of like Venezuela? Turn in your old dollars for the new dollars. Go to the ATMs or the bankers, go to the bank or the ATM. And when you go to the ATM, go to the government-run ATMs, which actually they did, and they're printing out old currency. Interesting. Go to the bank, exchange it. We're here to exchange our currency. They said, we can't help you today. Why not? Today's the day. Government said to come to the bank. I'm up here in line. Well, we got a problem. What's that? The government didn't give us any of the new currency. Oh, so they didn't give any of the banks the new currency. They didn't put any new currency in the ATMs, but they said they did. I wonder if India's following in someone's footsteps. New Delhi claims that purging most of India's old cash supply and replacing it with a smaller quantity of new banknotes will eliminate illicitly earned or unaccounted for income that has been beyond the reach of tax officials. Or is everybody about to do a serious revaluation of their currencies? And if a 20, and let's just, I don't know all the notes, banknotes in India, but let's assume they have 20 like we do, 50, hundreds, which I know they do. But they also used to have, as of recently, 500 notes and 1,000 notes that are now gone. So they have $100 or 100 notes, $100 rupees, if you will. If there's a major revaluation of all the nations of the world, where they don't need $500 and $1,000 notes out there, because that's too much, and all of a sudden the $100 note is worth a lot more, maybe that's why they're doing this in advance, possibly. But that's not why Venezuela's doing it. They're in panic mode, full-blown hyperinflation mode. But India, with its club member, bankster-friendly president or prime minister, I just wonder, are they gearing up for something? Because it seems like if you're paying attention, some of these other nations are kind of following that footstep. Why would this happen all at the same time by chance? There's always a reason. But as of December 19th, banks had replaced just 38% of the 15.3 trillion rupees in demonetized notes that was sucked out of the system by November's announcement, according to RBI data. The figures have alarmed bankers who are now urging the government not to lift the curbs immediately. One executive said, quote, "The government and the RBI need to make sure there is enough cash in the system before they lift the withdrawal limits." A private banker told the Indian Express newspaper, quote, "If the limits are relaxed, people will ask for more cash, and there is limited cash. This will only turn banks into villains." Actually, what was his name? Didn't say, Mr. Private Banker. Quick look surprised, Mr. Private Banker. You're already a villain. All of you banks are villains. This doesn't change that. Just want to clarify that part. When the policy was first announced, the government estimated that $5 trillion would remain undeclared, as it would be part of illicit money hoards. But Gandhi, RBI deputy governor, said earlier this month that over $12 trillion had already been handed back. In a newspaper report on Wednesday said the figure had since climbed to $14 trillion, leaving just over $1 measly trillion remaining. This suggests either that the amount of illicit money in the system was overestimated by the government, of course, or that new ways to launder cash have been discovered despite the government's efforts. The RBI did not respond to a request for comment. And well before India's surprise ban on using 86% of its cash supply, right-wing circles were abuzz with speculation about Prime Minister Narendra Modi taking such a step to fight so-called black money. Mainstream economists paid little heed to the chatter, deeming it too preposterous to take seriously, given the economic damage it would inflict. But with India now reeling from the acute cash crunch triggered by the decision to cancel its old 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, many economists and observers are debating what other unorthodox economic policy experiments may lie ahead. And Mr. Modi is expected to intensify his campaign against so-called black money, with his next target likely to be property purchased with illicit wealth and not registered in the true owners' names. Speculation is rife that he is also seriously considering other dramatic and unusual reform measures, including possibly abolishing income tax and replacing it with a banking transaction tax. Interesting. Expect more failures to hit to India's GDP will be much larger than, not to, but the hit to India's GDP will be much larger than expected. Nonetheless, it appears that Modi is prepared to follow up with the popular economic philosophy. If it doesn't work, do more of it. That sounds about right. Take care.